From the heartland of southern Nigeria, where the humid air hangs heavy with the scent of palm oil and the vibrant colors of Ankara fabric paint the bustling marketplaces, comes a tale whispered in hushed tones around crackling fires. It is the tragic yet captivating story of Queen Amina, the jewel of the Ibibio people, and the midnight kiss that carried the weight of a deadly curse. Welcome, dear listeners, to this enchanting journey into the heart of African folklore. Gather around, let your imaginations take flight, and prepare to be enthralled by a story of love, sacrifice, and the enduring power of the human spirit. If you enjoy tales that stir the soul and transport you to another world, then please, lend us your ear, give this story a like, and share it with those who appreciate the magic of storytelling. Amina ascended the throne of the prosperous Ibibio kingdom at the tender age of 20, upon the sudden passing of her wise and beloved father, King Akon. She was a vision of beauty, with skin the color of polished ebony, eyes that sparkled like distant stars, and a regal bearing that commanded respect. Her people adorned themselves in wrappers of vibrant hues, indigo, ochre, and emerald green, often embellished with intricate geometric patterns or depictions of ancestral spirits. The men wore loose-fitting tunics and trousers, sometimes with embroidered caps, while the women favored elaborate head ties and layers of colorful beads that jingled with their every graceful movement. Their villages, nestled amidst lush rainforest and fertile farmlands, were a symphony of life and laughter. But Amina's coronation was soon overshadowed by a chilling revelation. On the eve of her father's burial rites, the ancient council of elders, their faces etched with worry and their voices heavy with sorrow, revealed a long-held secret. A vengeful sorceress, scorned by a past Ibibio king, had laid a terrible curse upon the royal lineage, specifically targeting any queen who dared to love. The curse stipulated that any man who married the reigning Ibibio queen would perish at the stroke of midnight on their wedding night, their life force extinguished by a spectral kiss. The news spread through the kingdom like wildfire, casting a pall of fear and despair over the joyous occasion of Amina's ascension. Young men, who had once vied for her attention, now averted their gaze. Suitors from neighboring tribes, who had traveled far bearing rich gifts, turned their entourages back before even reaching the capital city of Ibibio. Amina, despite her regal composure, felt a deep ache in her heart. She yearned for companionship, for the warmth of a loving embrace, but the curse stood as an insurmountable barrier. Years passed, and Amina ruled her people with wisdom and strength, earning their unwavering loyalty and admiration. She focused her energies on the prosperity of her kingdom, establishing trade routes, fostering the arts, and ensuring justice for all. Yet, the loneliness within her grew like a persistent vine, its tendrils tightening around her heart. She remained unmarried, the spectral midnight kiss a constant, chilling reminder of her cursed fate. Many brave, or perhaps foolish, men did come forward, drawn by Amina's beauty and the allure of becoming the consort of a powerful queen. They swore their devotion, promising to defy the curse with the strength of their love. Amina, though wary, would allow them to court her, her heart fluttering with a fragile hope. Lavish wedding preparations would commence, the air thick with anticipation and the joyous rhythm of drums. But as the wedding day drew near, and the weight of the impending doom settled upon them, fear would inevitably creep in. One by one, they would find excuses to break the engagement, their courage failing them in the face of certain death. Amina understood their fear, but each broken promise chipped away at her spirit. She began to believe that she was destined to rule alone, her life a solitary path paved with duty and devoid of the simple joy of shared love. The vibrant colors of her court seemed to dim, and the joyous music of her people often sounded melancholic to her ears. Then came Obinna, a man unlike any who had sought Amina's hand before. He hailed from the distant Igbo tribe, his people known for their resilience, their artistic flair, and their deep connection to the spirit world. Obinna was a renowned sculptor, his hands capable of coaxing breathtaking beauty from wood and stone. He was tall and lean, with a thoughtful gaze in his deep brown eyes and a gentle smile that held a hint of quiet determination. He arrived in Ibom not as a suitor seeking power or prestige, but as an artist commissioned to carve a memorial statue for the late King Akon. Obinna spent many weeks in the Ibibio capital, his presence quiet and unassuming. He observed Queen Amina from a respectful distance, witnessing her dedication to her people, her sharp intellect during council meetings, and the underlying sadness that shadowed her regal countenance. He heard the whispers of the curse, the tragic stories of those who had dared to seek her hand. One day, as Amina was inspecting the progress of the memorial statue, she found Obinna lost in concentration, his brow furrowed in artistic focus. She was struck by the passion he poured into his work, the way his hands moved with both strength and tenderness. "The statue takes shape beautifully, Master Obinna," she said, her voice soft. Obinna looked up, startled, and his gentle smile illuminated his face. "Your Majesty," he replied, bowing slightly. "It is an honor to immortalize your father's legacy." Over the following weeks, they spoke often. Amina found herself drawn to Obinna's quiet wisdom and his unique perspective on the world. He did not flatter her with empty words, but instead engaged her in thoughtful conversations about art, philosophy, and the burdens of leadership. Obinna, in turn, was captivated by Amina's strength, her intelligence, and the vulnerability she occasionally allowed him to glimpse beneath her regal exterior. He learned of the curse not from the harsh whispers of the court, but directly from Amina herself, during a twilight conversation in the royal gardens. The air was fragrant with the scent of night-blooming jasmine, and the distant sound of drums paused softly in the night. Amina spoke with a quiet resignation, her voice tinged with the sorrow that had become her constant companion. Obinna listened intently, his gaze never leaving her face. When she had finished, a long silence stretched between them, broken only by the chirping of crickets. Then, Obinna spoke, his voice calm and resolute. "Queen Amina," he said, "I have come to admire you greatly. I see not just a powerful ruler, but a woman of immense compassion and strength, burdened by a cruel fate." Amina looked at him, her eyes questioning. "The curse," Obinna continued, "it is a terrible thing. But curses draw their power from fear. And fear, Your Majesty, is a choice." His words resonated within Amina, a flicker of hope igniting in the darkness that had enveloped her heart for so long. Yet, the reality of the curse was undeniable. "Many have spoken bravely before, Master Obinna," she said, her voice laced with skepticism. "But when faced with the reality of death, their courage has always failed." "Perhaps," Obinna replied softly. "But perhaps they did not truly love the woman behind the queen." Days turned into weeks, and Obinna's presence became a source of quiet joy in Amina's life. He did not press his affections upon her, but his respect and admiration were evident in every word and gesture. He saw her not as the cursed queen, but as Amina, the intelligent, compassionate woman who ruled her people with grace. One evening, as the full moon cast its silvery glow over the royal palace, Obinna approached Amina. He carried a small, intricately carved wooden bird in his hands. "Your Majesty," he said, offering her the carving. "This is for you. It is a representation of the free spirit I see within you, a spirit that deserves to soar." Amina took the bird, her fingers tracing the delicate details of its wings. A warmth spread through her chest, a feeling she had not experienced in years. She looked up at Obinna, her eyes filled with a newfound emotion. "Obinna," she began, her voice barely a whisper, do you understand the full extent of the curse?" "I do, Your Majesty," he replied, his gaze unwavering. "And I understand the depth of my feelings for you." Amina's breath caught in her throat. Could it be possible? Could this man truly see beyond the curse, beyond the fear of death? If you were to ask for my hand in marriage, Obinna," she said, her voice trembling slightly, "You would be agreeing to die at midnight on our wedding night. Are you truly prepared for such a sacrifice?" Obinna stepped closer, his eyes filled with a love that transcended fear. He gently took her hand in his. "Amina," he said, his voice filled with heartfelt sincerity, "my life before meeting you felt like a shadow. You have brought light and meaning into my world. To spend even a single day as your husband, to know the warmth of your love, would be a greater gift than 100 lifetimes lived without you. I do not fear death, my queen. I fear only the thought of never knowing the joy of your heart." Tears welled up in Amina's eyes, blurring her vision. No one had ever spoken to her with such selfless love, such unwavering devotion. For the first time in years, a genuine smile bloomed on her lips. "Then I would be honored, Obinna," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "I would be honored to be your wife." News of the queen's impending marriage to the Igbo sculptor spread like wildfire throughout the Ibibio kingdom and beyond. Many were astonished by Obinna's audacity, his willingness to embrace certain death for the sake of love. Others whispered that he was either a fool or a man touched by the gods. Preparations for the royal wedding began immediately, but this time, there was a different atmosphere in the air. Alongside the usual excitement and anticipation, there was a profound sense of solemnity, a shared understanding of the sacrifice that was about to be made. On the wedding day, the capital city of Ibibio was filled with people from all corners of the kingdom and beyond. They came to witness the union of their beloved queen and the brave man who had dared to love her. The ceremony was a beautiful blend of Ibibio and Igbo traditions, a testament to the bond that had formed between two different worlds. Amina looked radiant in her traditional white wedding attire, adorned with intricate coral beads. Obinna stood beside her, his eyes filled with love and quiet determination. As the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the jubilant gathering, a palpable tension filled the air. The joyous music seemed to soften, replaced by a hushed anticipation. The wedding feast, laden with delicacies, continued, but the laughter was subdued, the conversations muted. As midnight approached, Amina and Obinna retired to the royal chambers. The palace staff moved with quiet reverence, their faces etched with a mixture of sorrow and admiration. Inside the chamber, the air was thick with unspoken emotions. Amina and Obinna held each other close, their hearts beating as one. "Do you regret your decision, my love?" Amina whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Obinna gently cupped her face in his hands, his eyes filled with unwavering love. "Never, my queen. My only regret would have been to never know you." The grand clock in the palace courtyard began to chime the midnight hour, each stroke echoing through the silent chamber like a death knell. Amina closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. Obinna held her tighter, his lips finding hers in a tender, loving kiss. The 12th chime faded into the stillness of the night. Amina waited, her heart pounding in her chest, expecting the cold touch of the spectral kiss, the life draining from her beloved. But nothing happened. She opened her eyes, her gaze searching Obinna's face. He was still there, his eyes filled with warmth and love. He smiled gently, a look of quiet triumph in his eyes. What happened?" Amina stammered, her voice filled with disbelief. Obinna held her close. "My love," he said softly, "I told you that curses draw their power from fear. My love for you is stronger than any fear, stronger than any curse." They held each other in the silence of the night, the weight of the curse seemingly lifted from their shoulders. But dawn was yet to break, and the true test was still to come. As the first rays of sunlight filtered through the palace windows, a commotion erupted outside the royal chambers. The council of elders, their faces etched with worry, had gathered, fearing the worst. They were hesitant to enter, dreading the sight that might greet them. Finally, the head elder, his hand trembling, pushed the door open. He stepped inside, followed by the others, their eyes scanning the room with trepidation. They found Amina and Obina sleeping peacefully in each other's arms, the dawnlight illuminating their serene faces. A collective gasp of astonishment and relief filled the chamber. The curse had been broken. News of the miracle spread throughout the kingdom like wildfire, carried on the jubilant cries of the people. Drums beat with a renewed vigor, and songs of celebration filled the air. The curse that had haunted the Ibibio royal lineage for generations had finally been vanquished by the power of true love and selfless sacrifice. The sorceress's curse, it was later discovered through ancient law and the wisdom of the kingdom's spiritual leaders, held a hidden clause. It could only claim a life if the love offered was tainted by fear or self-interest. Obina's love, pure and unwavering, had acted as a powerful shield, deflecting the deadly force of the curse. His willingness to die for Amina had, paradoxically, saved them both. Amina and Obina ruled the Ibibio kingdom together, their reign marked by prosperity, peace, and a deep understanding of the power of love. They were blessed with many children, and their descendants carried the legacy of their courageous love through the generations. The story of the cursed queen and the man who loved her enough to face death became a timeless tale, a testament to the enduring strength of the human heart. And so, dear listeners, the tale of Queen Amina and Obina, the man whose midnight kiss defied a deadly curse, comes to a close. It is a reminder that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, true love, selfless sacrifice, and unwavering courage can conquer the darkest of fates. Storytime Africa bids you farewell for now. May the spirit of this story linger in your hearts, and may you always remember the transformative power of love. Until our next gathering around the fire of storytelling, keep the tales alive.